Oof, there we are. Okay, I think that you can hear me now. What a joy, what a joy. So, whenever I said that I'm looking for a new window manager so that I don't have to worry about my stream crashing halfway through, this is not what I had in mind. So yeah, let's see if we can get back to it here. I'm gonna pull back up the notes for this session. Go back into org present mode and then pull up the links list. Whew. Well, thanks folks for sticking with me here. This is a little bit ridiculous, but yeah, Gavin asked, did Stump crash? Stump did something very weird where I don't know what I did. I don't know if I clicked on a link or I switched browser windows or something like that, and it completely hanged, and I could tell that the stream went down because I'm looking at it on another screen, and it told me that it lost data and the stream was going to end. And I went into the TTY to try to kill Qt browser because I thought, okay, maybe that's a problem, and it didn't help. So here we are again. We're back without chat. So let me see if I can get that pulled up really quickly. Firefox, let's put up on screen number 3 here. No other window. Nightly, okay. That's the wrong one. Jeez, let's see, youtube.com/systemcrafters. Let's see if we can pull up our own stream here. Okay, and then I'm gonna try to pull this into, let's watch ourselves now. Let's see if we can pull up our own stream here. Yeah, we're not gonna listen to me talking twice. Pop out chat. Okay, here we are. So anyway, what was I saying? I don't remember anymore. I think we were talking about at least the links I was posting about the music stuff, but yeah. Gavin says, the only time I've had that happen is due to interfacing with Emacs client. I don't think I had that problem in this particular case, but whatever it was, I don't want to have to deal with that again, that's for sure. Let me see if I can split this window and move window. Oh crap, I want to get the other window. No other window, where's Emacs? Where am I? Whatever. Okay, so. Jeez. Go to this window and then. We're going through the whole setup process again, folks. This is great. Streams. Yep, there we are. Okay, great. So we're back to it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Hey, Marcio. Haven't seen you in a while. Okay, so I'm gonna pull in this window here. Let me split this screen. No. That's wrong. Okay, that's the right one. I think this Super D Alt. That didn't work. Oh, Alt right. Okay, there we go. And then resize that. Let's just get it back to where it was before. I'll let you watch me resize a window with my keyboard. It's great. And then we can move this back over to that. Oh, come on. Seriously? Whatever. I think my config is not fully working. Gmove. Dev. There we are. Okay. So let me see what people are saying here. In before it dies again. Well, you never know. It might happen. Nice with a bit of stress on Friday evening. Yes, I know, right? I haven't had any food to eat yet, and I'm sitting here trying to deal with stupid stream issues. But, you know, this part of it, if you want to stream, you have to live with the risk that something's going to go horribly wrong. But I'm very thankful for all of you for rejoining and sticking with me through it. Marcio says, I was just watching Gavin's videos, didn't expect to see him here. Yeah, Gavin likes to hang out with us. Ashra says, have you thought about getting a dedicated capture system? Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I actually was trying to do that before the stream today. So I've got 2 laptops here and I was running the video output of one into the other for the purpose of this particular problem. And it took about let's say half a second for me when I move my mouse on the screen for it to show up on the OBS screen. So the latency is so low that I'm kind of worried about having to try to demonstrate things whenever there's so much latency there. It's a little bit annoying. So one thing I do intend to do is build a streaming machine that can handle all of the load and have a really good quality capture card in it, so I can plug another computer into it and then not have to worry at all, because the streaming computer will be taking care of broadcasting, and then the computer that I'm showing things on can crash. It can do whatever we want. We can reboot it. So yeah, I definitely want to get that done, but it's just another thing that has to wait for a little while. Raina says, 2 streams in one morning. How lucky are we? Well, you missed the third one in the middle there that I just deleted because there's no point to it. There's no audio. Ah, yes, Gavin said we were just talking about rendering with Blender. Okay, so how confident am I in our ability to... Is that what happened? Did I create a Firefox window and it locked the system? Damn, I don't really want to do that again. Okay, so far so good. Let me actually make this an in-private window. And then, oh, I've got a split here. Can I don't remember the key bindings for this stuff. There's something like, what's it called? It starts with R. Remove split. Okay, that was the one. Okay, so then we're gonna do, boom, there we go. Okay, so it was called, what was it called, Gavin? You gave me the name and I forgot. Brian says, I finally caught a live stream. Thanks for all you're doing for the Emacs community. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Gavin says, I'm always here. Yeah, definitely you're consistent. I appreciate that. Money Condon says, second channel. Yeah, I've got the link. I dropped it in the chat before. And let's see. That's the wrong link. Wow, okay. Definitely the wrong link there. I need to fix that. Money says Vim from scratch. Yeah, probably won't do that. Not that I have anything against Vim. Vim's great, but there's other more interesting things to talk about than trying to go through Vim from scratch, I think. Other channels are doing that. Also planning on adding a 2PC streaming setup. Would be interested in how you approach it. Yeah. So, oh, BPS render, thank you. Yeah, I mean, really, just having a beefy enough computer, potentially with a legitimate graphics card, and run my secondary computer through it. It's sort of like how all the gaming streamers do. They have 2 computers, one that actually plays the game and the other that does the broadcasting, because with stuff chewing that much of your CPU and GPU, it's very difficult to stream at the same time. BPS render. This is not very in private if it keeps leaking all my browser history, is it? And right now you can see that I can't read Greek, so I don't know what I'm agreeing to here. English. Whatever, I don't care. BPS render. Render faster in VSC with BPS render. Wonder if that's if it has a package on Geeks. Let's see. Probably not, but Geeks search BPS render. It would be nice to be able to use more of my processor power for this. So let's drop this back here. So BPS render script for Blender. Okay. Aniket says, I was wondering what happened. I thought that I missed the earlier one. Is this Stump? Yeah, we're in Stump right now. And I don't know whose fault it was, but I'm not very happy with the fact that, I changed window managers to be more stable, and it ended up crashing when I've not had problems with EXWM in quite some time on stream, I think. From the people who make Power Sequencer, have not used that, but it sounds familiar. Gavin says, I think it was right when you clicked a link or searched the script. Yeah, it was something like that for sure. Something weird. The Stump WM dialog that messes up the help dialog is available in Gon's repo here. So let me, if you're okay with me pulling that up, I'll just pull it up really quickly. Whoopsie. So gitlab.com, I think, right? Ugh. Okay. The Lisp Curse Volume 2. I gotta sign in, really? I don't think I have the credentials to do that right now. Why do you want me to sign in? Can't just look at a public repo? I'll check it afterwards. Gone. So, let's see. Do we want to risk trying to do any hacking here? Because we already had trouble once. I'm not sure how I'm going to put these recordings together after the fact. I don't know if I'll bother, but yeah, it's a little bit annoying to have to go back and try to do something. Thanks, Marcio, for the 25 real. I think that's what it is. Emacs is special because of people like you and Prat and Satachua. Gavin really enjoy your content. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Marduk says, thoughts on Haskell? Cool language. Not really for me, because it's pretty hardcore when it comes to being like pure functional, and it's fun to try to write code like that. But for me, I kind of prefer to just, make a mess and have fun. How about using Emacs for Arduino? Maybe in the future. I don't know. Definitely it might mess with some Raspberry Pi stuff, which is definitely not the same thing. But being able to write some scheme code or Lisp code that does some fun stuff on a device would be pretty cool. But I don't know. I mean, it would have to have some kind of connection to the topic of the channel. So yeah, it would have to be something that we're controlling something or automating something that, makes sense in the context of system crafting. But it could be cool. So a couple things about what I kind of wanted to work on, which I may not have much time to do, but we'll see, is first of all, OBS is the software that I use, which you just saw me in the Hall of Mirrors, and it was funny how Ashraz said it was the David Army trying to fix everything, because it is kind of weird like that. I use that software for streaming and recording videos, and one of the things I have not been able to do in the stream so far is have more integration with like notifications and stuff for the stream. So having things pop up on the screen whenever people are like, doing donations or maybe like some kind of stream interactions and whatnot. If you watch other like normal game streamers, you typically see these kind of overlays people have for that. And typically what they do is they have some service like Stream Elements or one of the similar services that has a web page that you load into OBS as an overlay. But to do that, you have to have an extension to OBS that allows you to show basically a web page as a browser control inside of the broadcasting software. And because I'm on GNU Geeks, they don't build those browser controls in by default because it's using like an older version of Chromium, like the Chromium embedded framework or something like that. So one thing I've been wanting to do is to take the OBS package configuration for Geeks and try to turn on the browser build so that I can build it myself for my own purposes, even though Geeks doesn't come with it. And I've done a little bit of tweaking around that in the past, but I haven't tried. I tried setting up the browser thing maybe a few months ago, and it didn't really go so well. But maybe we can just take a quick look at that and see if it's possible. Palm says, ever heard of MoonScript? I have heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. MoonScript. A language that compiles Lua. Yeah, definitely that. I remember that much. But yeah, I don't really use Lua very much, so it's not something that I've spent any time with. But I'll add that to the list of things that we were talking about. Marduk says, interesting. Thought others enjoyed thinking about the solution, abstracting, and implementing it. Well, there's many different ways to do that in different languages. Because I don't think that I don't think you end up with a solution without thinking about it. But there's, thinking and abstracting. There are many syntactic tools for that in various languages. So I actually want to go and look up the package config for OBS. I'm going to pull up the Geeks Emacs package here, OBS, and then I'll go load up that file and steal this config. And then I'm going to drop it into my own file inside of my .files repository. So let's go here. And then in my .files repo, I have my own packages folder. Packages. Let's say video.scm. Whoops. All that work I just did, gone to waste. Let's do it the easy way, or the quick way. And then let me pull another file, or the modules section of another file, just to have it here. And then OBS with browser, let's say. I think I could do that. OBS with browser. And I need to inherit, or maybe I don't need to inherit. Let's just do it plain like this for now, and then maybe I'll go back and change it a bit afterward. But what we now have is another package. The previous one was called OBS. Now we have OBS with browser, and it's just the same configuration. If I were to go and try to build this right now in the console, let's say geeks build. I'm going to add my .files to the load path. We'll see if it gives me errors, but we're going to build the OBS with browser package. Okay, so I've got some errors here. PSP says, where do you upload the org file that you make during the stream? If you go to systemcrafters.net/live-streams, systemcrafters.net/live-streams, you'll see all the previous notes from the live streams. Let's see, what errors do we have? I probably pulled in some crap here that I need to get rid of. Yeah, let me get rid of that phantom old file. So move, wow, what did I just do there? .file/davidwill/systems phantom old. I'm gonna move that to the home folder, just to get out of the way. Module name does not match, yeah, okay, fine. Let's try that one more time then. Geeks get download, okay, so I'm missing some things here, which is gonna be a little bit of a problem, but we'll figure out which modules we're missing. So basically, whenever you start defining one of these, you have to make sure you pull in all the right modules that are necessary for the package definition. So we're gonna have the CMake build system also here. Probably don't need this font build system. Define module. Oh, yep, I need to fix that too. Video. Okay. Let's see. I might have to go just copy a bunch of stuff. Also lib unbound variable. Okay, so GNU packages Linux. OBS with browser unknown package. Okay, so why? Let's pull up the Geeks REPL then and see if we can import. See, use modules, Davywill packages, video. Oh, did I do that right? Yeah. Okay, so no code for module Geeks packages Linux. That's because I did the wrong thing. It should be GNU. And now I'll jump out of the REPL. I'll go back to try to build it again. Okay, GNU packages curl. We're gonna go through like a ton of these. So maybe what I'll do is go back to the video.scm file and pull in this massive list of imports. Maybe all of the, well, okay. We'll pull in all of the packages parts. There's way too many here, but just to move things along, let's just do this and save ourselves some headache. Probably need the Xorg one too, for sure. I'll do this, then delete this one character, which is going to be a problem. Here, let's do that. And then maybe if I can delete that one without it thrown up. Okay, good. So let's try that one more time. Hyder says, really excited for more GNU Geeks content. Did try it for a week and pretty much didn't understand anything. Yeah, I sort of left people in the lurch, I think, on that. Or in other words, I feel like I probably could have spent more time making videos that explain how to use it after you get it set up. EBN says not using ParEdit. I'm using Lispy, but I'm also using it poorly. So what can I say for myself? Did I not just put that in there? Ah, yeah, I didn't change it. That's what happened. Video, okay. Is it gonna do something now? I wonder how much this is gonna kill my CPU and cause problems. All right, so it looks like the build will start, which is great. Let's see. Okay, maybe it's fine. Let me know if you notice any lag with the stream. I'll be curious to know if the build causes problems for it. But basically what it's doing now is just building the existing package definition for OBS, and then I'll try to add the build in for the browser control. So I know that in the OBS repository, OBS GitHub, they have information about the build flags, and I believe it's like -d browser equals true or something. Let me just search for browser. And while I'm doing this, feel free to ask questions or bring up topics and stuff, because I'm sort of just doing this while we're hanging out on the stream here, just waiting for it to crash, you know, the next time. A lot of fun. Doesn't bring me directly to any kind of information. In fact, let's go to restructured text, browser. No. Gavin says, if you end up trying out Nix, I just released a showcase. Cool. I haven't seen that yet. I'll take a look for sure. Okay, so let me look at the thing here. Okay, so build browser false. Okay, so that's our little clue here. So I think Andrew Tropin updated this, and when he did that, he turned the browser build off, which makes sense because we can't do that as of today, but I'm gonna try to make it work. And you have to use CEF. I wonder if it actually has a license that would enable it to be pulled in. Elijah says, have you seen the Emacs Alpha background transparency patch? I've seen it discussed, but I have not tried to use it yet. License. The license is... This is MIT, or no, is it BSD3 clause? Yeah, it's like a BSD3 clause. So that's okay for Geeks, but I wonder if there's anything else in there that Geeks doesn't like. If this could be packaged for Geeks, then that would solve a lot of problems. But I wonder if it's buildable or if it's actually like binaries that... Okay, so it looks like code. Gavin says, do you mind if I ask what languages you use for work? I use TypeScript and JavaScript primarily. Sometimes I have to use C# a little bit, which I try to avoid as much as possible. Let's see. I think it's Vitaly, right? Hi from Russia. Hello. And let's see. Hey, Sasha. Nice to see you. So it's doing its build right now. It doesn't take that long, I think, if I remember correctly. EBN says, I just found out there's a commercial Emacs project. Commercial Emacs is not... It's a joke, the name commercial Emacs. So it is a real thing. We've talked about it, I think, on a stream once before, but basically it's a fork of Emacs by somewhat... Wow, he took some of his stuff out of here, I think. He forked Emacs because he was unhappy with some things not being merged into the core of Emacs. Apparently he's pulled in TreeSitter though. That's kind of cool. It's like a test bed basically for more large changes. My green screen is overlapping. Yes, I know. So this setup is really, really stupid right now. Like I have a circular green screen. I'm having to sit with my back against it on this chair to keep it in place because I don't have a stand that helps me to keep it where it needs to be. Like I said, I'm really excited to get to, excuse me, a desk situation. So that I don't have to deal with this anymore. I can have an actual backdrop. So it's Neo Emacs. Not exactly. I mean, Neo Vim is kind of like a rewrite, right? Okay, so that actually did build, which is great. If we go look at the store folder, I'm guessing that in bin OBS, it actually will be there. Yep, so it built it. I'm kind of impressed that it built it on stream without blowing the stream up, which is great. But if we wanted to pull in the browser build, we would have to build CEF. So let me take a look at that really quickly and see if there's an easy way to get that started. I doubt it, but you know. Getting started, tutorial wiki page. Can you tell me how to build it? Build steps, Linux build steps. Compile the DLL wrapper static binary library. You know, I think what happens with this, I think it tries to clone the, does it have submodules? Is that what happened? I remember trying this in the past. So give me 1 second to think what I was doing here. Yeah. Whoops. Let me do this. All right, so there are submodules. I can check the Git modules folder here, and OBS browser is getting pulled in, and I think OBS browser may also pull in Ceph. Let's check that out. Does it have submodules? Find Ceph. Or maybe it just has a requirement that you need to have Ceph built and installed first. JS bindings. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, build instructions and choose the if building with browser source option. Include steps to download, extract the Ceph wrapper. So yeah, I think this is the part where it gets a little bit freaky. Red Hat build, Fedora build, Debian, which is probably the closest, I guess. A lot of stuff you gotta have here. And then they want you to download like pre-built binaries, which we can't do very easily with Geek. So this is probably not gonna happen today. Mainly because either you have to build Ceph completely from scratch, or you have to take the binaries and you have to use a tool to change the links to dynamic libraries that are kind of plugged in there, and that's a whole headache of its own, so I'm not going to bother with that right now. But the idea would be that you could potentially get the browser control built in here. If anybody has any skill with doing this and wants to help, I would love to have some help on it, because rolling back to the original motivation of doing this, I want to have some more interactivity in the stream that actually has, you know, causes things to happen in the stream. I mean, one thing I could do is sort of write it all myself in code that, you know, does stuff on the screen myself, which is something we might do. I mean, we could do that with Guile potentially, and a custom website. I might consider that. And it would have to pop up on my screen and not through like some browser overlay. But anyway, yeah, that's sort of the point. Benoit says the message bot is not relaying Twitch messages. It's probably because I broke the stream, so hopefully it works to some degree. I don't know what's happening with Restream right now, actually. Let me just check that. Raina says, would you make a short video regarding licenses from a crafter's point of view? When should they concern a crafter? Which situations have you encountered where you had to know about licenses? Well, I did a stream a while back comparing open source licenses, which I did give a lot of thoughts on that stuff, but maybe making a more focused video about it would also be useful. So yeah, I'll think about that. Microsoft code rewritten in eLisp. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Sasha says, do you want to have a guided live note-taking session? You would process a text and I would do some Zettelkasten coaching from the bench. That could be interesting at some point. We could definitely talk about that if you want to send me an email. Gavin says, NeoVim isn't so much a rewrite, but it does add features that would not have been added in Vim by Brom. Yeah, that's right. Gon says, NeoVim and Vim is like new Emacs and XEmacs. EBN says, we don't mention the heathen key chords here. Which key chords? Vim? Nah. Oh, Benoit says not actually on Twitch at all. Then why am I using Restream then? Why did it not actually pull up on the other? Whatever. I mean, this has been a disaster anyway, so and the recordings don't stay on Twitch. So we'll just leave it the way it is. Sorry for that, folks who are watching on Twitch. Hopefully next time we won't have these same problems. I'm highly motivated to go back to EXWM now just because we had this this issue. Benoit says, I can see the video. You can see the video on Twitch? That's weird. Or you mean the recording? GNU Ninja says, put some basic info in the Flux Harmonic channel. Yeah, I guess I should. I want to make like an intro video for it, but I'm waiting until I am more prepared to start doing stuff there. Brian says, how do you like Restream? I've not heard of them before. It's pretty useful for being able to stream to both YouTube and Twitch at the same time. And if you use your own streaming software with Restream, you can do great streams on both platforms and even other platforms simultaneously without paying. You don't have to pay for Restream for that functionality, which is pretty good. I will say that managing streams on multiple platforms at the same time, especially regarding chat, is a pain. And I wish that I had a better solution for that. Maybe one day I'll have a different solution for that. But right now, it's not ideal. We basically have to have a bot that translates messages back and forth between the two chats, and it's not fully reliable. Vitaly says, talk about Guile. Yeah, I will a lot next year, for sure. All right, so, yeah, I guess this is sort of a busted effort here. Aniket says, I saw one guy's video on YouTube, says he's frustrated using Stump. I'm surprised at how you're still surviving. Well, it's not terrible. I mean, it's been working fine. Like, at the beginning of the stream, I was saying that I don't even notice a difference, but I did actually notice a difference today whenever it totally crashed, but that easily could have happened in EXWM also, I guess. Gavin says you can use Restream to get chat via IRC. Can you? Really? Is that through like doing it with the Twitch's IRC thing, or does Restream have their own? Restream chat IRC. Because that would be really interesting. So maybe that's yeah, let me know more about that if you know about that. Was it DistroTube who made that? Yeah. Okay. Via Twitch. Okay. Yeah. That's sort of the trouble, I think, is that if you're syncing messages from YouTube to Twitch and you're using the IRC bridge for Twitch, then there's a lag for the YouTube messages. And since technically speaking, YouTube is my primary streaming platform, it feels kind of weird to like have the majority of the people have a delayed chat. Where is my, there we are, okay. Sasha, I just received your email. Thank you. Gavin says, I assume the video was made by DistroTube. Aniket says, what is DistroTube? I'm surprised you haven't heard of DistroTube because they're like one of the bigger Linux YouTube channels. DistroTube YouTube. There we are. It's interesting to see the growth of some of these Linux-focused YouTube channels over the last few months. So DistroTube hit 100K subscribers in, let me go back to the notes. DistroTube hit 100K subscribers in, I want to say like February or something, and he's already up to 159K. And if you've ever tried to have a YouTube channel before, subscriber growth can be super slow if you're not making like viral videos all the time. It just takes a long time to build up a subscriber base. But it seems that after a certain point, it starts to have this like exponential curve where you get closer to 100K and then it just starts going crazy. I don't know if it's just like the social, excuse me, the social proof of of having such a high subscriber count that people will just, will go ahead and subscribe anyway, or if it's somehow the YouTube algorithm pushes out those videos more aggressively. But I've noticed that a few channels have grown a lot recently. I think even like Brody Richardson's channel has grown a lot. If that's the right channel address. Let's see, Brody Richardson. I was pretty similar in number of subscribers to his stuff as well. Maybe I'm using the wrong name. Anyway, also there's another one called Mental Outlaw that's gone pretty crazy. So I don't know, like it's weird how these things work. I don't know if it's just like a matter of hacking the YouTube algorithm, or if it's the thing where you kind of okay, I see. So Gavin says it seems like making Linus Tech related tips content made a huge boost. Take a look at the dates on the Social Blade. Thanks to Brian and Evan. Brody Robertson, sorry for that. Robertson, YouTube. So I think his channel's been growing a lot lately too. So 26, I think he was at like 18K maybe 2 months ago. So that's, pretty good. But also, Linus Tech Tips has been making Linux videos recently, mainly to say that he's having a hard time setting up Linux, and I think that could also be driving traffic to these channels. So that's possible. Swap the related and tips. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, that is one thing to consider on YouTube, is if you're making videos that are about the same topics as other creators who are much bigger, and they happen to coincide around the same time, then you will get a lot more recommendation traffic. Anytime that DistroTube makes a video on Emacs, I get more views because the algorithm just pushes my videos to DistroTube viewers. So that's nice, I guess, whenever that happens. But it's not something I'm trying to game, because I'm not really interested in gaming the system so much. Reactions to the Linus Tech Tips videos is what I was referring to. Yeah, so that is a good example of riding the coattails of a larger channel's viewers, if that's actually what happens. So if we look at YouTube, DistroTube, I think that, geez, I can't even type. I think that DistroTube is not the only channel doing reaction videos to that either. I think that the Linux Gamer, or TLG, is also doing, or is he calling himself Gardner Bryant now? I can't remember. Linux is complicated because freedom is complicated. Yeah, I guess you're right about that. Brian said that's how I found you. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, not Distro Dude. So yeah, I should do reaction videos to the reaction videos, and so we can just have like this this nesting doll effect of reaction videos where it just becomes nonsense by the end. That'd be a lot of fun. I'm a bit skeptical of Linus when it comes to software. There are some points where it didn't seem like he was really trying to understand his new system, like some points he isn't even reading. You know why? Because it gets more traffic to be critical of something sometimes. I think that the way that, I haven't watched those videos at all, but based on just like what I'm picking up from what I see online, is that there's, excuse me, the other person who's helping him make the videos is understands what they're doing, and then Linus is complaining, maybe? Is that what's happening? So yeah, I mean, it makes for content that people want to click because they want to see what he's saying or why he's complaining about it. And he also has the sad face on the thumbnails. Ashra says, then your subscribers will have reaction videos to your reaction video of a reaction video. Yeah, see, that's where it starts to get really interesting. I wonder how Lunduke is doing these days. I think he left YouTube, didn't he? And went to Library. So, I don't know. The problem with making content is that if you leave the biggest platforms, it becomes harder to get discovered, which is a terrible thing, but it's just what it is. If you're trying to grow a channel, you kind of have to be on YouTube. Benoit says the approach is valid, though minimal info installing Linux. Yeah, definitely. I think that you could do pretty well installing something like Ubuntu, because Ubuntu is pretty reliable in terms of installation these days, and has been for quite a while. Ramsey says you can call it recursive videos. Yeah, definitely. Ebian says if I start reacting to system crafters, I will get big. Well, that assumes that I'm big, and I'm not big, so. Benoit says I found system crafters by sorting YouTube by video by date. That's interesting. Alex says, how's the day going? You know, it's going. I smell some food being made somewhere in the house, and I'm starting to gravitate toward that direction, I think. Let's see. Artem, I think, says, hello there. Hello. Benoit says the office work challenge was actually really successful. It was mostly from a zero to working system that was painful. Yeah, well, it depends on what system you're using. If you're trying to install it on like a gaming PC, it would definitely be harder. Raina says we gotta get meta here, make a reaction video of a video discussing the topic of reaction videos in general. That's gonna be, it's gonna give me a headache, I think. So yeah, it's interesting doing the YouTube thing for sure. Gavin says the Linus Tech Tips videos have not been too much of a game. The system style, I feel pretty different about the reaction videos. Yeah, that's true. Like I said, I have not watched them, so I don't know anything about it. If they're really trying to do it, or what kind of point they're trying to make with those videos. Ashra said I found system crafters via Reddit. Yeah, I don't post my stuff to Reddit very much anymore because I haven't been making Emacs videos in probably 2 months. Benoit says Steam uninstalled the whole display manager. How the hell did that happen? That doesn't sound right. Marcio says some of Linus' complaints about Linux are valid. Yeah, I would have to see what he said about that to have my opinion about his opinion. I mean, realistically speaking, people keep talking about the year of desktop Linux, and as if people are gonna like start switching to Linux en masse. And I just don't see that happening because there's not a company driving it. It's sort of like, you need a vendor who's selling you devices that pushes you towards a particular operating system before, the majority of people are going to be using it. So you would have to have like a really amazing device that uses Linux primarily as the operating system before I think people would even be exposed to Linux for the most part. Plenty of people do something like what Gabriel is saying. They want to demonstrate if your grandma can install GNU Linux and use it with a good GUI. I mean, you could definitely do that, but I don't think anybody would really want to do that. Sure, you could install Linux on your parents' computer and just tell them, hey, just use the browser, which they may do mostly anyway, but I don't know, what's the point really? I mean, there's plenty of development going on for Linux and plenty of new desktop environments that are being created that look very nice. I don't really see what there is to gain by getting more normal, quote unquote, normal people to use Linux. Someone says, sorry, but he wants to buy a Beast machine and play with the config files and script to play games. Yeah. And it's basically what I was saying about Emacs. I mean, people say, oh, we got to have more people using Emacs. Well, I don't really know what the point is. Gon says, nowadays Linux works in most devices. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have an NVIDIA graphics card and you just have Intel chipset stuff, Linux is perfect. Now, not perfect if you try to use something like Debian or Geeks or maybe Trisquel or whatever that uses the Linux Libre kernel out of the box, because then you have driver issues. But for most other mainstream distros, like on Intel machines, everything's awesome. GNU Ninja says, just buy Granny a Chromebook. Yeah, that is a solution. Marcio says, the year of Linux on the desktop was 2009. After GNOME Shell, everything went downhill. Well, I mean, okay. I mean, Linux, I guess it depends on who the target audience is, because I think GNOME Shell is not bad. I understand what they were trying to do with that. I kind of like how it seems fairly minimalistic, but I think that was their answer to how do you make a desktop environment that also works well on tablets and mobile devices. And I think it does accomplish that to some degree, because as you can see, if you get a Pine phone, you can use GNOME Shell on any of the distributions that work on phones. Ashra says SteamOS 3 on the Steam Deck will be interesting, Arch and KDE based, and almost as far away as you can go from crafting your own system, although Valve still enables you to. Yeah, that's exactly the point. Like, if you have a device that people want and they just happen to be using Linux, then maybe there's some ways that people can be exposed to it, but then still you're only targeting gamers at that point. Oniket Sounds, I found System Crafters just by typing Emacs on YouTube. Yeah, I've definitely dominated that space just for making so many videos. Ashra says broken package description metadata on the very same day in Pop! OS. Ah. EBN says he doesn't understand how open source works, or comes on as if he doesn't, because he talks about Linux as some sort of entity that wants to gain customers. Okay. Android already has Linux. Well, you would not know that it's Linux, and I don't even know that it's really Linux these days. I mean, it's sort of. I mean, I guess it's got sort of the core, but it's not really a Linux environment that someone would use. Benoit says GNOME and Cinnamon both works really well for my family. Yeah, if you are there to help them use the stuff and find the right software for them, then I don't see any problem with it, using it in your own house for your family members. I've tried to get my wife to use Linux for some things, like, photo processing, because there's like Darktable and some other programs that are good for that. But it's kind of hard to convince someone to use something that might be less stable than the mainstream operating system. I think for me, Linux plus Emacs is awesome, but for someone, just do some document works. Windows works better for that because of problem with encoding. Well, definitely Windows works better because they have, first-class tools that are kind of market-leading, I guess. The Metaverse Window Manager by Facebook based on the Mark Zuck's Linux. Gavin says, do you still use Gambit? Is that usually the scheme you go first to? I have not used Gambit in a while, but I was using it for game development last year. And the reason why is because it's able to produce native binaries for Linux, Windows, Mac OS, and even phones. And that's because the Gambit compiler will compile the code down to C and then use a normal C compiler to then build the binaries. So it's great for that. If your goal is to release a standalone binary on multiple operating systems, then Gambit's great for that. But it is a project that is primarily developed in a university setting. I mean, the person who created the project and has been developing it all these years, Mark Feely, cares about the project and wants to make it like a competitive scheme implementation. But I don't think there's like the community or resources behind it to compete with other things like Guile. However, Guile is not the same type of scheme implementation because it's meant to be used as a library in a GNU system. It's not meant to make standalone applications. So all of the scheme implementations have their own pros and cons. And it really just depends on what you're trying to accomplish when you choose one. And Guile was definitely effective for me when I was trying to do cross-platform development. Alex says, you say that because even if it's using Linux, it isn't really providing the full experience, so it's not really Linux. Well, you can't just drop into a terminal and start doing what you want or install a different window manager or that kind of thing. You have to like root the device and replace parts of the OS or use something like Termux to do that. So it's not really like, what you would consider a Linux environment. Evan 4 says, I have my grandpa on Linux since it allows me to remotely change things much easier than Windows. Yeah, that's true. And you can have a lot more control. Like you said, you can dumb it down really easily, or just like, make it very stripped down so that they can't do things to harm themselves. So for sure. Gavin says, I've been playing with Shay because it's open source for a while, good documentation and crazy fast implementation. Yeah, Shay is cool. It doesn't by default have a way to produce standalone binaries. I think there's an external tool you can use for that, but that was the reason why I did not use it to start with. But it is super high quality, mainly because the person who wrote it was hired by Cisco to support it and extend it for many, many years. So it was used in production on Cisco hardware, I guess. So it's made to be production quality for sure. Crazy Chicken says, I just got back. How's it going? Well, we haven't crashed again. That's a good thing. EBN says, I wish Guile Emacs was a thing. Contributing to it would be an easy stream content. Yeah, well, one day we may go take a look at that after we've spent some time with Guile, just to sort of see what the future might have been if that project had gone a little bit further. But yeah, I don't know that one's ever going to get revived, or if it's currently even being worked on. Let's see. Guile Emacs. Using Guile and Emacs, that's not the same thing. State of Emacs Lisp on Guile, that's 2020. What's the wiki say? Come on. Taking forever. Okay. Current state. Let's see if there's been any commits. Okay, 2015. So it really hasn't moved in a long time unless there's another repository for this. So definitely it's not a live project. Gavin says, considering Android does basically everything in user space via the JVM, it's closer to one of those Sun systems than a Linux system. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so I probably have to jump out of here now because I've got another thing I have to go do. But man, I was not expecting to have a stream crash today. That was a lot of fun, but it was nice to have everybody here today to chat about fun stuff as usual. Next week, I'm going to try to have like an actual topic for us to discuss, or maybe something to do that will be a little bit more focused. But this week, like I said, I was super busy, so I didn't have time to put something for that together. If you have thoughts on things you would like to see as like a discussion topic for future streams, please let me know either in the comments or on one of the chats. If you check out the description, there's links to all that, or by email if you want to. Next week, it's possible that I could do a stream with Prat, but we have to sort of sync that up, time-wise. And if we do that, it might be earlier than the normal stream time. So I'll make sure to let people know well in advance before we do the stream, so that you are able to be there at the right time. So if it doesn't happen this next week, it may happen, in a few weeks, but coming soon, because we've definitely been talking about it. So. But other than that, I'll just come up with some other topic for next week, because there's an endless supply of things to talk about in the world, I guess. So we'll figure something out. But anyway, thank you all so much for being here, and especially thank you for sticking with me through the 2 restarts of the stream today. Hopefully that won't happen again next week. I'll probably go back to EXWM in the meantime. We'll see. But anyway, I will see you all in the chats and whatnot over the next week. And until then, have a nice weekend and happy hacking. We'll see you.